Yeah, I want to pause this one because I get feedback from it.
It's not playing now.
Yeah, but it will. Usually there's a pause thing here because I get feedback, when it starts.
So now it's only the play
It's
button.
not. It's not allowing me, to pause. Usually there's a pause button here.
So it's not playing.
Yeah, it's not playing, so it doesn't have a pause button. I think if you hit the play button, you'll have the pause button there. Yeah,
Okay.
it's either or.
Can't have both, huh?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, there's that.
What?
And
Oh. I don't have my confidence. I don't have my confidence.
what do you know?
I don't.
Bhante, I am Padmini. I am joining your program.
Welcome to the program. I've seen your name before.
Yes, I am joining the. Yeah, no, I was joining your program for a long time. Padmini from Raleigh, Durham.
From where?
Okay. Thank you so much for your. You are doing this program.
You're welcome.
Tiruan Saranai.
That one Saturday.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening, everybody. So we're going to begin now reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like to join. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So tonight we are going over the seventh of the seven purifications that we have started to review over the last more than a month. And we've gone through the six, so far, 6 out of the 7 purifications, which are stages that the mind goes through on its journey to freedom, to extricating itself from the web of karma and delusions and developing the path of meditation. So I'm going to share the screen with you again. There might be some who have not been to the previous sessions. So I'm going to share the screen to this happens all the time. Okay, there we go. So the 9 insight knowledges are comprise the 7th of the 6th of the 7 purifications. And so not going to go over all of them because you can read this. Hope that all of you have gotten this handout that I've been sending out for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And last week we covered these 10 imperfections because especially once you shift from purely observing the breath, you switch into practicing the vipassana, or you gain momentary concentration and developing vipassana. You go through those stages of overcoming doubts and knowing what is the right path and what is the wrong path. So while you're developing those stages, your mindfulness and concentration and wisdom is gradually growing. And you attain quite a good degree of concentration. And these in insights, these vipalasas, or these what I call the trinkets of concentration. It means these, you can read them there. We went through them before, but what people can get distracted on and thinking that they've attained enlightenment or attained some higher stage that maybe they have not, and they get excited about that and they get distracted. So that is, and once you overcome that, then the mind is poised for sort of the last stage, the last stages before actually enlightenment itself. Now, as I've mentioned before, this explanation of the 7 purifications is probably one of the most detailed description of the process of meditation, developing mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, culminating in the attainment of the stages of entering the stream, once returning, never returning, in the stage of the Arahant. Of course, this is specific to the Theravada tradition. Now, these 9 insight knowledges we're going to go over tonight, this is sort of like the last stretch of practice. You've already done a lot of the preliminary work and doing your homework, and the mind has developed a high degree of mindfulness and concentration at this point. And so the first of these 9 insight knowledges, and this is really sort of the beginning of the factors of enlightenment. By this time, you're developing the factors of enlightenment that are, an important stage of development. Now, so this first stage of arising and passing away, you can read it here, it's the mature phase of impermanence. Now, in the beginning of meditation, you practice, observing things come and go, but because your concentration isn't that strong, you see it on a kind of a superficial level, seeing how quickly things come and go. But as your concentration and mindfulness increases, then it becomes very bright and clear. So the knowledge of passing away, rising and passing away, is seeing the moments of sensory perception as they arise and pass away in quick succession. You see them very clearly. And you can see hundreds if not more, individual sense impressions. That means moments of hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking, of the aggregates, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. You see them arising and passing away very quickly, even up to the point of 20, 30, 50, or even more individual moments, even in the space of a couple seconds. And so it's like looking at something under a high-powered microscope, because that's why it requires the five hindrances to be suppressed, either through practicing gaining access concentration, full concentration, or momentary concentration. It's dependent, the five hindrances must be suppressed so that the mind becomes clear enough to notice this arising and passing away. And again, the arising and vanishing is, you're seeing it's passing away so fast that the mind, doesn't have any time to think about anything else. It's just, everything is just arising and vanishing. That means the moments of hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking. And the mind has no time to cling to any of them, because there's always something else arising. So the mind, it notices something arise and then instantly lets it go in order to notice something else. And then, so you understand that these, you can read this now, this same knowledge of arising and passing that arise in the previous stages of meditation, but now has become stronger through not clinging to the 10 perfections of insight, those distractions. And you clearly see the physical and mental phenomenon coming and going. And then you come to this second insight knowledge of dissolution. That means you no longer really see the things coming, you just see them vanishing. And this is very similar if you've ever looked up into the sky on a dark night and seen a meteor shower. When you're staring at the sky during a meteor shower, it's like something just zips across the sky and you didn't even see it start, but it vanishes. It, like within a second, it's vanished. And you didn't even really see it arising because it comes out of nowhere and it just vanishes. Or it's like tracer bullets. If you've ever seen tracer bullets shot from a machine gun at night, these green tracers, they're moving so fast that the speed of hundreds of miles a second, that all you see is it vanishing. So that's the kind of vision that you get when you see things that they're just vanishing. That means moments of hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking, the six senses, because that's all we are. Our whole life is just moments of hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking that are arising and vanishing through our sense organs hundreds and thousands of times, even in a second, in a nanosecond. So that's why we don't see them arising and vanishing, because our mind clings to them. And our mind is very slow and dull. That's why it doesn't see. This is the nature of the consciousness. This is seeing reality as it is. You can ask any brain surgeon or brain scientist how quickly our brain is processing firing neurons. Basically, it's like firing neurons, and any brain scientist will tell you it's firing neurons at thousands of times, even per second. even more, hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million in the space of I don't know how many seconds or a minute, but anyway, it's beyond the, we can't normally see that. But when your mind is in that deep state of being in the present moment, seeing arising and vanishing, you can get a good sense of that. And when you're doing that, things start to dissolve also. So it's in Goenka's system of meditation, they call this bhanga jnana, seeing how quickly things are just vanishing through the mind. And then the mind doesn't have time to create perceptions out of them, like it doesn't dwell on anything, so the feeling of the body can disappear actually, or the parts of your body might disappear. I mean, this is in your mind, of course, as a perception. And so this is also part of the bhanga, where our consciousness is ceasing to create individual objects. And in that state of noticing arising and passing away at that high speed, the feeling of the body may just disappear, and you just feel like a very expanded kind of energy. And even the sense of yourself might start to disappear. So that disappearing of normal things that you might have normally identified with in your ordinary state, or in the lesser stages of the meditation, now it kind of cease to, they cease. I mean, our mind is not anymore clinging to them. It's not perceiving them. So they're ceasing in terms of these states of consciousness and perception in the mind. They're getting very rarefied, that you're no longer really identifying things. So this is called that dissolution, the state of dissolution. And then this third stage, the knowledge of terror. Now, with that state of the dissolution, all the sufferings and thoughts and worries and fears and all your memory, all that also is basically, all that is ceased temporarily. And you experience a high degree of happiness and bliss because of that. And so you understand that the mind has been in prison all of your life. It's been imprisoned through your wrong views about self. You're in prison of the five aggregates, being tortured by painful feelings, not having pleasant feelings, so being disappointed, and all of your perceptions and so on. We've been conned and tricked into believing that that's the source of happiness. But with this stage of meditation, you realize real happiness is when all those things have ceased. And so you become terrified of being trapped by the ignorant mind. That's what this meaning, the knowledge of terror, it's knowing being trapped by ignorance, basically, imprisoned by the sense of self, because now you're experiencing the freedom from being trapped. The mind is no longer being trapped by its clinging and identification with I, me, or mine, or one's history and past, or anything that's occurring in the body and mind, basically. It sees the terror of ignorance, basically. So it's not being terrified of objects, it's being terrified of your ignorance. It's trapped you into believing, all the wrong views and believing that happiness depends on the six senses, because now you're experiencing how this state of awareness, which is not trapped anymore, is actually so much more blissful and a higher state of happiness than anything you could possibly have experienced before. So the terror is about being terrified of ignorance, not objects themselves. That's very important to understand. And then that knowledge of terror begins to fade away, And the fourth knowledge is the danger. Now you understand that things are no longer terrified, but you understand that clinging, there's a danger to clinging. And there's a little analogy given to this. Let's say some robbers or bandits grabbed you and were dragging you to a big pit of fire. You'd be terrified. You'd feel the heat of that fire. You'd see the coals and the flames of the fire, and you'd be terrified. You'd be struggling to get away. These people are dragging you toward the fire. You'd be terrified, screaming and fighting. But now, once that terror subsides, you're no longer terrified by the ignorance, but you see the danger in the ignorance. So it's like the robbers letting go of you before they throw you in the fire pit. They let go of you, and so you're able to back away from the heat of the fire. Now you're no longer terrified of the fire because now you're in control. But you see the danger of getting too close to the fire. Right? So it's important to understand this difference. You see the danger of being trapped by the ignorance, so you keep your distance. You don't allow yourself to identify with ignorance on all your defilements and so on. So it's basically referring to the five aggregates. You see the danger in taking them for I, me, and mine, because that's normally the ignorant person takes the five aggregates as being this is mine, this is my body, these are my things, this is my feelings, these are my perceptions, my consciousness. I'm deciding to do that. I'm deciding not to do that. I'm sad, happiness. You've let go of all these kind of things because you understand that they're just bubbles of consciousness coming and going. And you're no longer terrified of them, but you see the danger of still trying to cling to them. So that's what the knowledge of danger is. It's the danger of being deluded and being re-trapped by the things that bring you suffering. So that's important to understand these. Sometimes these people read about these things and it's think they have to live in a paranoid state. No, absolutely the opposite. One is no longer in a paranoid state. And then that's why you come to this next stage of the disenchantment. Now the mind is becoming disenchanted with the infatuation towards all the sense objects. You no longer have craving to see beautiful things or any aversion if you see ugly things. And, it's not going in any direction toward pleasure or pain. It's transcended basically ideas of the past and the future. It's more in the present moment. And it's become disenchanted with the lure of the material world. So things don't attract you so much more because you're living more in the present moment and experiencing that refined happiness of not being clinging to any of these five aggregates. So you become disenchanted, like you no longer have interest to, go to exciting parties or entertain yourself with entertainments because you realize that they bring more suffering than they're worth. The little bit of pleasure you might get from doing various sensual pleasures, the pain or disappointment when they leave is worse. And so you're getting the happiness from being in the present moment. Just flowing with the present moment from moment to moment. Now, a regular person is not going to be able to understand that. That's why only a meditator who've experienced this kind of thing can understand that. So you can read these definitions. So that disenchantment. And then the sixth knowledge is the desire for deliverance. That means now you really want to be delivered from ignorance. It's about being delivered from ignorance, not being trapped by the ego, not being conned and by our own ego and by doubts. You've overcome most of those things by this time. And so it's wishing actually to attain, the stages of liberation, desire for deliverance. Again, deliverance from suffering, from all forms of suffering. Because you've experienced momentarily at different times the happiness that comes through when the mind is not clinging to anything. Because everybody has had these experiences in the past. When you gain some concentration and the mind is no longer thinking about the past and the future, or wanting to scratch any itches or being bothered by pain. It experiences a transcendent type of well-being. It's not a sensual happiness. It's a happiness that comes from deep inside, from the pure present moment of the natural state of our present moment consciousness, awareness. So, that strong desire for deliverance, not to be born in any of those three realms, to be born again as a human being. You don't care to be born in another life to see your grandkids or whatever. People have this idea, oh, in my next life I want to do this or that. You realize all that's an illusion. And you want to be delivered from the whole rounds of birth and death. Basically, that's what it means. And you can read this. The desire is similar to a desire of like a fish caught in a fishing net. The fish is swimming in a sea, right? He's swimming kind of free. And then a fisherman catches it in a net. And you see him flopping around. He's struggling to get away. Or if he flopped on the deck of the boat, he's flopping around and he wants to get out of there. So he flops back into the sea and then he swims away. So that's the same way this desire for deliverance is this desire for the mind to become completely liberated from greed, hatred, and delusion, and the suffering that comes from it. So those analogies are very nice, especially that fish that's caught in a fishing net, our mind that's caught in ego delusion and trapped by the past karmic formations. And then the seventh knowledge is this reflective contemplation that has you going on, just continuing the meditation in the way you've been doing it, reviewing Paticca Samuppada, reviewing Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, and understanding all the five aggregates as being totally empty of any self or I, and so on. And then the eighth knowledge is equanimity about formations. It's called Sankhara Upekkha. It means equanimity to any of those formations. And basically this is about the level of concentration to attain this state should reach the third or the fourth jhanic level, because that's where equanimity comes in. If you've read about the jhana factors in the jhanas, that equanimity arises in a weak form in the third jhana, but is purified in the fourth jhana. So this equanimity of formations is the same level of you've had reached the fourth jhana in the what is called the vipassana jhana, the fourth vipassana jhana. Is the way I interpret this, is about the equanimity about formations. And you've gone beyond now all fear of terror, danger, and everything else. You become totally indifferent towards them. The mind has attained this most purified state of purified equanimity, not reacting to anything. has gained the insight that there's nothing could be considered as I or me in oneself or others any longer. This is that knowledge of equanimity of formation, Sankara Upekkha. It's the highest stage of the insight knowledges. And then the ninth insight knowledge is actually, it's very interesting, the knowledge of conformity, or it's called conformity knowledge. And this basically happens by itself once you've reached that equanimity of formations. That means the mind is conforming to the truth. It means conforming to the truth that you've just been realizing. The truths about anicca, dukkha, and anatta, and the truth about the pure awareness that the ego is an illusion. It starts to actually transform in that. Now you've done all the previous work. Now the mind is kind of going on by itself. And it conforms to the insights that have already been gained through the previous 8 types of knowledge, and to conform to the 37 requisites of enlightenment. So this adaptation knowledge, the next stage is actually the purification by knowledge and vision, or the 7th of the purifications, actually. Just what I've been discussing, the 9 insight knowledges belong to the 6th purification. And the 7th purification is attaining the stage of Sotapanna, once returning, never returning, in the Arhat stage. So that stage of equanimity of formations is about as far as you can go. It's like you've been traveling, walking for hundreds of miles along some plateau, and being chased by wild animals, getting burned by the sun, being experiencing all that, and then you come to the edge of the cliff, and there's either only jumping off the cliff, or going back through all the dangers. And the mind conforms with that, and it jumps off the cliff. And that jumping off the cliff and landing on the ground below is called the path knowledge. You've escaped all those dangers of that previous path that were on that above you. I mean, this is just a kind of a simile I'm explaining, where the mind jumps off and makes a complete break with the 5 aggregates, identifying with the 5 aggregates, especially the ego consciousness. But I'm not going to go into that now, because that's probably beyond a lot of you experience, but I might go over it again next week, but people will get confused because it's really quite complicated. But going through those insight knowledges, developing up to this stage of conformity with the truth, that's when the ego actually is almost dissolved. Up until this point, the sense of I and me is gradually dissolving. And I give this experience of an ice cube floating in water. If you have an ice cube floating in a bowl of water, the ice cube is really the water. I mean, is made up of the water, but it thinks it's different from the water. In developing these insight knowledges, and especially the last one, that sense of self is gradually dissolving. But if the mind is not mature yet, it will go back. It will be scared, because it's like scared of jumping off the cliff, or like the rug being pulled out from under your feet and you're going in free fall. The mind gets scared when the last sense of I starts dissolving, because it's not matured yet. Those insight knowledges haven't been matured. There's still some not clinging to that sense of self, so it pulls you back. it keeps you from totally jumping off the cliff of the mind, of the conditioned mind. And so a person can reach that state of equanimity, but not go on to the stages of the actual transformation. And it's similar to the state of a butterfly going into a cocoon. So a caterpillar, a caterpillar, right? So a caterpillar, is on a branch of a tree, and it spins a cocoon. And then after some time, it transformed from an insect, a caterpillar, a grasshopper, or whatever the thing was, and becomes a butterfly. So that's similar to this experience of the mind going from the conditioned state to the unconditioned state in terms of mental freedom. But that's what it almost feels like. But a lot of people don't reach that stage because they get held back. Some deep karmas from the past come up and prevent them from, totally letting go. So that's because those insight knowledges haven't been, a lot of people like to skip the insight knowledge. They think, I don't need to go through all this terror and danger and all this stuff. And so they try to skip over these things. And that's why then they have to go back and do their homework, because they get to that state and they're not able to totally jump off the cliff of the conditioned mind, because those previous stages of purification haven't been properly purified. So that is, the explanation. And so I encourage people to read through these. If you haven't read through them, read, and you're interested in this, because it's really, if you've been practicing Vipassana meditation for years and years, this is the end of it. This is how you reach the end, but people don't put forth enough effort, and they've heard too many other things, and they say, my teacher says I don't have to do that, and they try to do other things, and they mix up a lot of things, and that's why they probably don't reach that culmination. But anyway, because these knowledges have been developed and understood since the days of the earliest arahants, and been passed down through the 2,500 years. But anyway, so I encourage you to read through that. And now I want to try to open that up to see if you have any questions about those things that we went over this evening, those insight knowledges. So I'm going back to the normal screen. Okay, I see Julie has raised the hand. Yes, Julie, you have a question?
Thank you, Bhante. I have a question about the terror stage. What might this look like? Could you describe how someone might experience this?
Well, it's not terror like if somebody was going to cut your head off. It's just, the kind of realization, oh my God, I've been ignorant all my life, and I'm imprisoned by all these infatuation with sensory desires, thinking that the external world can really bring me happiness. And it's that kind of being terrified of being trapped and addicted to sensual pleasures. That's what it means. It's not really a mental terror, like you're going to go into depression or so on. And but some people might if they take it the wrong way. It's not the external world that you're terrified from. This is what's important to understand. It's being trapped by the illusion that the things of the external world can bring you any type of lasting, permanent happiness, and being caught between pleasure and pain, the past and the future, That's what most people, their whole life revolves around that, but they're trapped. They keep on going around in circles indefinitely, circling back and forth between pleasure and pain and the past and the future. And so the knowledge of terror is seeing how that's just an endless, it's an endless street, it's a dead end. And you have to make that break from it. So the terror is about the terror of being trapped in your own mind, not the objects of the world itself. Otherwise, you go into depression. It's about your own mind. And maybe having doubts about you have the ability to even, progress on that path, because that's all those self-doubts is a hindrance. That sound reasonable, Julie?
It does. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So, Samir, you raised the golden hand there.
Yes. Hi, Bhante. You made a comment about people skipping the 9 stages. What did you mean by that? I assume that they unfold somewhat naturally. So how would one technically skip these stages?
Well, they may or may not unfold naturally. And so a lot of people are in a rush and they think, oh, I may not need to contemplate the 5 aggregates. I'm just going to jump to no self and dissolve the ego with my whatever, concentration, or you think you've dissolved it through concentration and you think that's enlightenment. Now that's being trapped in those hallucinations that we talked about, the understanding what's the path and what is not the path. So many people get trapped in that because they haven't fully contemplated the 5 aggregates, paticca samuppada, enough to have overcome the doubts about it.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Mudita. Are you there, Mudita?
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Sorry, I was on mute. So my question is about, let's say a person just develops like 6 or 7 of the inside knowledges and not all 9, and they haven't attained Sotapanna in this lifetime. Do they carry on the knowledges they learned to their next life, or do you kind of start from scratch in that case if you haven't gotten all 9?
Well, whatever you learn in this life in terms of developing mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, if you don't reach that level of the Sotapanna in this life, or even if you do reach Sotapanna, you can still be reborn, up to 7 more times. And that information is not lost. But depending on where your karma lands you in the next life, you may or may not be able to get back to that level immediately. And depending on how much karma you still have left to burn away, so to speak. But generally, yes, nothing is lost. So those insights that you gain, and that will hopefully help you to regain interest in Dhamma at a young age in your next life, before you become too trapped in the mundane world. That's why people who are attracted to the monastic life at a young age, they probably had some experience with some of that in a previous life, and it was so strong that it helped them to avoid the pitfalls of getting caught up too much in this life, and they were able to then get back on the path to progress. But that could go on for 6 or 7 lifetimes, even for a Sotapanna, let alone somebody who has not even reached that level of the Sotapanna. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Bhante, thank you very much.
So, Dusyanti, have you a
Hi.
question?
Yes, good evening, Bhante. I have 3 questions. The first one is, after experiencing or when experiencing these insights, can some of it roll over into your normal everyday experience, not in a very deep way, but in a very like mundane, uh, um, wise way. So I'm going to give you a really like simple example. Being disenchanted by a perspective and not clinging on to a certain perspective. So if I'm arguing with someone and I see that we have different perspectives and they're both right, they're just different, then I am more inclined to say, well, I'm just attaching to this view, you're attaching to that view, let's just let it go. It's more wise to just keep the peace.
Yes, that is definitely how that manifests, how the insights that you get in meditation can manifest in your daily life.
Okay, because I
And
found that to be the
especially,
case, that now it's just things that used to bother me or that I used to cling to. It's just a thing that I cling to, and I'm not emotional about it.
yes,
It-
that is all signs that changes are happening. The Dhamma changes you. If you're practicing the Dhamma in the right way, following the Eightfold Path, it changes you. But sometimes it's very slow. And that depends on each person's, past experiences of how quickly or slowly the mind's conforming. That means you're already experiencing something like this conformity. Your mind is now conforming to the truth. You're losing interest in going to parties on Friday and Saturday night, for example, or you're interested, not interested in smoking pot anymore, or doing whatever different things. So this disenchantment comes when stop losing that desire to do a lot of the things that used to attract you and just to cure your boredom and so on. So, the mind is spending more time just being happy, being by itself and not feeling bored and getting happiness out of, meditating more. That shows you that the mind is transforming, gradually transforming.
Thank you, Bhante. My second question is, do the insight knowledges need to be sustained like in a jhanic state? Like when you acquire a jhanic state, that needs to be sustained for it to be defined as a jhanic state?
Yes,
Okay.
especially the Vipassana jhana stages, like that equanimity of formations, or even in the fourth jhana, because when you stay in the jhana or that level of awareness longer, it makes changes in your cellular vibrations. I mean, it goes from the material matter down to the cellular level, and then it goes to the molecular level, and then it goes even to the atomic level, changing the way even your atoms function. This is the quantum physics is understanding this now, how even electrons, change their consciousness and stuff. They even have consciousness. So the longer you stay in these states, the more powerful of an effect that it has in changing the deep molecular and even atomic structures that then make it more easy to change through to the coarser levels, you
Hmm.
know.
Thank you, Bhante. And then my last question is, um, do you have to, and this might be a silly question, do you have to know that you're in an insight knowledge experience when you're experiencing it, just like you know that you're walking, picking up your foot, placing it down, just like you know if your mind is wandering off or staying present?
Yes, you probably would, especially like rising and passing away. When you see how quickly mind states are rising, it'll shock you. And then how things dissolve. So you can experience those.
Thank you so much, Bhante.
You're welcome. Julie, you have another question?
Yes, just a really quick second question about meditation and the length of meditation. In my experience, when I sit for longer, it's easier to enter like deeper states of meditation. And I'm wondering what your recommendation is, if the body permits, how long one should sit still without moving.
Well, your mind can only take so much. So as you sit longer, you have to deal with more pain. It's going to be natural. Your muscles are not used to, let's say, sitting in the half lotus position or any position. And so you have to gradually, as the muscles get used to that kind of pressure from sitting in a meditation position, they gradually get used to it. So it allows you to sit longer without that pain. Because again, this is going down to the cellular level of the muscles and tendons in your body, and changing the way they tolerate pain and send signals back. And the same with your mind. So therefore, you're able to tolerate pain more. And so pain is one of the things that makes people give up, stop their meditation. When you start experiencing the pleasure that comes from the longer you sit, the longer you can endure, the more subtle that those vibrations are, it makes it easier to do that. So you'll naturally want to sit longer. It'll naturally come. And the same when your mind is not so get frustrated and the mind thinking, when you start to experience those vibrations of the present moment, that's very fulfilling, because that's the vibrations coming from, again, that deep kind of cellular and molecular level. And so you could go on sitting for hours, actually, in a jhana or these states of awareness, because the mind is perfectly content. So you shouldn't restrict yourself, but it's going to come naturally. It usually comes naturally. The mind will just naturally want to sit because it's content. It's not thinking about the future. That's what makes people get out of meditation. Oh, my favorite program's coming on at 9 o'clock. I got to start my meditation now. Or your mind says, oh, I forgot to feed the cat. And, they give excuses why they want to get you up. But when you enter those deeper states, those things are they're not gonna come up and distract you. So the longer you sit in those deep states, the more easier it's gonna become, and the deeper the transformation. But you have to keep it up, because you can reach some deep states of meditation, and then let's say you get sick or really sick for a while, you couldn't meditate. It's going to take you some time to get back to the level that you could before.
Thank you so much. So 3 hours then would be reasonable to sit still
3
without.
hours? Oh, very reasonable, yes.
Not
I
too
said
long.
if you can sit 3 hours without thinking about getting up, you're at a very a deep level.
I'm not there yet, but that's the goal. Thank you.
Yeah, don't limit it to 3 hours, but usually, even 2 hours. Most people, about an hour is, about the most they can do, unless they're on a longer retreat. Now, if you go on a longer retreat, 10-day retreat, 3-week retreat, then of course each day you'll be able to sit longer and longer without the hindrances coming up.
Thank you so much. I wasn't sure if there was an issue with the body just being still for that long.
The body's going to have its issues, but it's the mind dealing with the issues that's the important thing. Whether you can deal with those issues. Because the mind can create the issues in the body too.
Thank you.
Anyway, you only learn about this through your own experience as you come to experience these things more and more. Your own wisdom understands what's happening in your body and mind. Okay, friends, I think we will bring this discussion. You have one more question, Mojita?
Yeah, Bhante, but it's okay if you don't have time. I can email it to you if you want.
Okay, maybe next week we will continue this. You think up some more questions. You meditate on some of these inside knowledges in the next week, and then see if you have any more requiring knowledges, and we might go over some of those other things for next week too. One more week on the subject. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a short break. Come back to have our few standing yoga stretches, and then sit down and see what comes up. Okay? See you back in a few minutes. Okay, friends, so let's try to stand straight. Relax your shoulders and arms at the sides. Feel your feet pressing the floor. Gently close your eyes. Start to feel the outline of the standing body in the mind's eye. And begin some deep, slow breathing. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs 2 or 3 seconds. Just take a few more deep, slow breaths, developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to combine this breathing with these movements. So on the next in-breath, raise your arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten your arms, stretch the head back, stretch upward, and release the fingers. The out-breath, arms back to the sides, feel the air go out as the arms come down. Again, in-breath, arms over the head, stretch up, bend back a little bit, feel the arch in the spine. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Once more, in. Stretch up, bend back a little more. Hold it a little longer. Feel the sensation. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Close the eyes, relax. Keep feeling the body. Don't give the mind time to get lost in thoughts. Feel the increased body sensation. Feel your feet pressing the floor. Remember standing, standing. Just letting go of your thoughts, the past and the future, standing here and now. And on the next in-breath, lift up on the balls of the feet while raising the arms over the head in this way, facing the hands toward each other and stretch up. In the out-breath, come back down. Feel the air going out as the arms come down. Again, in-breath, use the in-breath to help lift up the body. Stretch. Out. Once more. Stretch. Out. Relax. Close the eyes, keep feeling the body, the increased sensations, clothing touching the outer skin, subtler sensations under the skin. Remember standing, standing. Next we'll do the side bending using both arms. So on the in-breath, raise both arms up. Keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side. Keep The arms and hands parallel to each other like railroad tracks. In breath, lift up. Then the other side, out breath. In, up. Into the right, outward. In, out. Once more to each side. The out breath, lower the arms. Close the eyes. Keep feeling the body, head on top, arms at the side, clothing touching the skin, feet pressing the floor. Or that outline of the body in the mind's eye. Standing, letting your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the sensations of the breathing, standing body, front of the awareness. You can now spread your legs and feet apart about 3 feet. The wider the better. We're going to do the twisting from right to left, holding the arms out. We'll breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Let your feet turn with the body. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath, back to the front. Let your feet turn with the body, then twist to the other side, out breath. Then keep alternating sides, breathing. Feel all the sensations. And lower the arms. Feel each foot pressing the floor. The arms and hands hanging at the sides. The clothing touching the skin. The more sensations you can notice, the less chance for the mind to think about any particular ones. Just observe all those changing sensations, coming and going. It's the beginning of observing impermanence, how quickly all these sensations in the body are changing. Now place the hands together at the chest. Breathe in, hands over the head. The out breath, lower the hands to the chest, bend the knees, lower down. Stretching your hips and knees. Try to keep your back upright. In breath, all the way up. Out breath, try to come down a little farther. In. Out. In. The out breath. Keep feeling the body. Each foot pressing the floor, clothing touching the skin, hands and fingers, head balanced on the top. Now bring your legs back together, just a few inches apart. Now we'll do head turning from right to left. So on the in-breath, turn your head to the right as far as you comfortably can. Look over your right shoulder. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. On the out-breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In-breath back to the right. Out left. Once more to each side. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Feeling the body. Now the last exercise we'll do is the backward and forward bending. So turn the palms facing outwards so your little fingers kind of touch together. On the in-breath, raise the hands up level with your eyes and begin spreading the hands out to the side as you bend back on the out-breath. Not too far the first time. Look at the ceiling. Carefully lift up on the in-breath, keeping the arms out at the sides. And on the out-breath, lower the arms and hands down towards the floor. Keep your legs straight. The little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Begin lifting up. Turn the palms outward again. In-breath. Raise the hands up. Out breath, arms out to the sides, bend back. In breath, lift up. Out breath, the downward stretch. Once more. In, out, In. On the out breath, we'll hold that downward stretch longer into the bones in the lower spine, stretch out. You begin lifting up. And breathe in, bring the hands together at the chest. Out breath, hands to the sides. Feel the whole body. Just feel that increased aliveness of the whole body. All those changing sensations. Because that's one of the first insight knowledges, seeing how quickly sensations continually changing, arising and vanishing. So now, let's mindfully come back to our seats, get ready for the sitting. Friends, get comfortable in your sitting posture. Align your spine and the back of your head in a straight line. And keep your chin lifted up level with the floor. Feel the natural inward curve of the lower spine. Feel your head balanced on top of the spinal column. Try to imagine or feel your sitting posture, like your body being a pyramid, the top of the head like the peak of a pyramid, your two knees like the base of the pyramid, two knees in the buttocks, the firm contact with the earth, with your seat. Just try to feel that outline of the whole body, head on top, hands resting on your legs, two knees in the buttocks. And begin some deep, slow breathing again, like we did in the yoga session. Some breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count our breaths from 1 to 10 to try to develop a more continuous concentration in the breathing body. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and concentration. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath in for 2 seconds. And with the contracting out breath, also count to 1. Feel the last bit of air go out. The next in breath, 2. Out breath, 2. In 3. Out 3. In 4. Out 4. In 5. Out 5. In 6. Out 6. In 7. Out 7. In 8. out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. As the breath goes out, let the breath relax. Don't try to force the air back in, completely relax. Just let the breath come back in under its own without trying to regulate it. We continue to feel it. Just keep your attention focused in the center of the body. Feel the shorter, residual, expanding and contracting sensation. Especially tune your attention to the beginning, the middle, and the end of the in breath. Feel the brief pause. Notice the beginning, the middle, and the end of the out breath. And the brief pause. Try to notice how that expanding in breath also is changing as it continues to come in 1 or 2 seconds. It has a beginning and an end. And the out breath also has a beginning and an end. To focus on the beginning and end of each in breath and each out breath. That's the beginning of observing impermanence. The in-breath arises, then stops. And the out-breath begins and ends. Just pay attention to the beginning and ending of each breath. Some of the breaths may be very short, some of them might be a little longer. Just pay attention to the beginning and end of each breath. Especially try to feel the sensations of the clothing touching the skin of your stomach or chest as it expands and contracts. Notice how those sensations are changing. If you hear any sounds, notice how quickly sounds just arise and vanish. Or even your own thoughts. Just gradually opening up to the flow of impermanence. The breath comes and goes. Other sensations come and go in the background. Sounds come and go. Thoughts coming and going through the back of your mind. If you can, just try to hold that outline of the sitting body in the mind's eye. Keeping the breath in the middle, but at the same time you can notice other sensations naturally come and go. Body movements, prickly sensation, touch of clothing against the skin. Maybe some sounds within your own house. Specifically, just be alert to see how quickly sensations just come and go, body sensations, sounds, thoughts. It's the first insight knowledge. How everything is just constantly changing, arising and vanishing, without the mind sticking on to it. There's always something to notice that arises and vanishes through this body and mind. Just make that the theme of the contemplations, coming and going, arising, vanishing. Different sensations, sounds, thoughts. Especially be alert for thoughts trying to sneak into your mind. Stop that flow of impermanence, get you caught up in thinking. Take a deep, slow breath, let go of the thoughts, back into the flow of the body, the breathing. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Just opening up to the flow of impermanence, to notice more and more sensation. So many different parts of the body. Sounds, even the sound of this voice, sounds in your house, sound vibration. If they trigger off perceptions or thoughts, just thinking. Just turn up the power of the mental microscope to notice subtler movement, sensation. Coming and going anywhere throughout the body. So many prickly sensations. tingling sensation, aches or pain, heart beating, pulsation. With a stream of thoughts moving to the back of the mind. Urging. Let's keep the awareness flowing from moment to moment. Without getting stuck on any particular sound, sensation, or thought. There's always something else to notice. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. So many different sensations constantly coming and going. Sounds come and go. Pleasant or painful feelings come and go. Perceptions, thoughts come and go. This is just a continual state of change and impermanence. The five aggregates arising and passing away in its nature of being impermanent. There's always something else to notice. No need to get stuck on any particular sensation or thought. Just let the awareness kind of just float from moment to moment. Sensory stimulations arising and passing away. This breathing body awareness. Nothing stays the same for even 2 moments. You directly observe that, feel that knowledge of arising and vanishing, knowledge of impermanence. Things arise, last for a second or two and vanish. Something else arises, lasts a second or two, vanishes. You have a good sense of things just arising and vanishing very quickly. Just try to become like an empty house with nobody home to answer the call, knocking on the doors and windows. Let that little sense of the I or me fade into the background. Sambe Sankara Anichati Yada Panyaya Pasati Atanabindati Dukhi Esamargo Visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to briefly last, then vanish. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. Thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to chant the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting on the long out breath. Feel those vibrations in the body and mind. So take a deep breath. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. You mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Stretch your head back. Pull your hands against your knees to arch your spine back. Look up at the ceiling. Let out the breath. On an in-breath, lift the head up. And on an out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. On the in-breath, lift the chin up level and relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So I hope that you were able to maybe get some insights into that first insight knowledge of arising and passing away, seeing, feeling how everything is just constantly coming and going through our senses, but the mind's trying to grasp a hold of them. So anyway, try to develop that contemplation not only in meditation, even when in your daily life. You can see how things are just constantly changing our experiences. Sight, sound, smells, taste, touch, thoughts, mind reacting to them. Okay? So perhaps we'll see you again next week. So until then, be well, be peaceful, be mindful, be wise. Practice your M&Ms every hour during the day. Remember, mindfulness today keeps dukkha away. Okay? All right. So,
Danke, Bhante.
have a nice week.
Good night.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Bhante. Good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Bhante.
you.
Good night.
Namo Buddhaya.
Good night.
Namo Buddhaya.